Welcome back, Patriots, for another episode of the Bald Brad Show. It is officially, is it Wednesday already? It is Wednesday, December 4th. There was no alien invasion yesterday. I felt left out. I was told there would be an invasion, and there wasn't. Hopefully, you are having a blessed and fulfilled morning so far. If not, maybe I can fulfill some of that void with the news today, because we have possibly a new selection for Secretary of Defense. We'll break that one down for you. We have federal judges, the Democrat Party, well, just quite frankly, everybody's kind of freaking out over Joe Biden's pardon of his son, Hunter Biden. So that whole charade and antics is still going on, which is why I mentioned I was shocked that he even did it on a Sunday rather than upcoming Friday. We got the Chinese, we got immigration news, we got Doge. We got all sorts of stuff for you today, folks. If you haven't already, hit that like button. If you enjoy what you see by the end of the episode, hit that subscribe button. We do this weekdays, 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, bringing you the news, baby. I see you all in the chat. Greatly appreciated. Well, that is the kind of the big news today. It wasn't just about Pete Hegseth, who is a Fox News contributor slash anchor slash guy that kind of fills in. He was having some allegations about getting a little bit of tipsy. Now, those allegations are coming across as false. There's a lot of people that have worked with Pete Hegseth of Fox News that said, I've never smelled alcohol in his breath. If you're going to say he's a blazing alcoholic and he's just drunk all the time or he's always drinking, well, everybody's been around somebody that's had alcohol. You could smell it from pretty far away. And they're like, I've never smelt it on the guy. I've never seen him drunk. I don't even know if I've ever even seen him like have alcohol before. So it is just a lot of slander. It's just a lot of liable stuff being thrown out there in the airwaves, on the newspapers, on social media. Well, President-elect Donald Trump is considering Florida Governor Ron DeSantis to lead the Department of Defense. Now, Gary says that he doesn't think this is a possible newsworthy article. Now, Gary, you might be right, but I do want to point out, one, this is coming from the Daily Wire. Two, Ben Shapiro knows Ron DeSantis extremely well, meaning like a phone call. I would also like to point out Ben Shapiro is one of the founders and heads of the Daily Wire. I would also like to point out that Ron DeSantis was just with Donald Trump yesterday or 2 days ago. So there could potentially be actual solid reporting that's going on here if it's coming from the Daily Wire. There's a reason why I chose the Daily Wire versus another site of covering this, specifically because Ben Shapiro lives in Florida. Ron is Ben Shapiro's governor, and there's a potential phone call right there. So the Department of Defense, amid concern over the ability of current nominee Pete Hegseth to be confirmed, according to the Wall Street Journal. Now, those false allegations and concerns, well, again, we have Ed O'Keefe, which you'll see in a moment, kind of talking about, hey, like this doesn't sound right, like they're false allegations, but this is what we got going on from other people within Trump's team. The Wall Street Journal first reported that Trump was considering nominating DeSantis for Secretary of Defense, as there appears to be a growing number of Republican senators who have expressed concern over whether Hegseth would be confirmed or not. Now, I just want to be upfront. I'm always clear with you guys. I'm not beholden by some corporation. We always say that here. We're grassroots, baby. You're talking to the person that owns, runs, and monitors the channel, everything. It's me. Well, I personally, if I had to choose between Pete Hegseth, or I had to choose from Ron DeSantis, honestly, I'm going to choose Ron. Now, that doesn't mean like Pete's bad. Doesn't mean he wouldn't be able to do the job. It's just, I think, showing in terms of what's been done. Both have served in the military, and Ron has had a great track record of governing Florida. He's done a phenomenal job. So I see that type of leadership, that boots on the ground, the decision making he's done on a state level, and I go, hey, you know what? He might actually be a really great pick for Secretary of Defense. I want to know what the Patriots think in the chat. P for Pete Hegseth, if you would choose him over Ron, or an R for would you choose Ron DeSantis over Pete Hegseth? If you had to choose, look, they're both great men. They're both Patriots. I know it's hard. I know it's difficult, but it's great nonetheless. Let me know in the chat what you all think. Would love to hear from you. We got a donation already. Pat is coming out swinging, coming in hot this morning. Happy hump day with the $5. Thank you, Pat. Big contributor, always supporting the show. Has the mug, has the shirt, has the sticker on the truck. Absolutely love it. You guys are keeping the lights on here for me. Greatly appreciated. So we got a 50-50 here. Some people are saying Ron and some see a lot of 50-50. Let's find it out. Who wants to be? Let's get a champion challenger for Pete in the ring. Let's get a champion, a challenger for Ron, and till death. So really it is 50-50 pretty much. It is pretty much 50-50. Wow. Yeah, maybe, you know what? Rumble's turning towards Pete. Wow. All right. Look, they're both great picks nonetheless. Now, here's Ed O'Keefe. And I, as much as I know you guys might not like legacy media and like CBS, NBC, Ed is actually really good. As somebody that watches the White House press briefings, I enjoy Ed O'Keefe. He's been one of the few legacy media outlets that's actually pushed back on Karine Jean-Pierre. I would say, he doesn't get the screen time, the notoriety that Peter Doocy gets, because Peter Doocy is, well, he's a gladiator. But I will tell you, Ed has pushed back in that front row probably just as much as Peter Doocy or Philip Wegman or some of the other people. He's up there, you guys. He's somebody I like. So 2 sources familiar with the transition tell CBS News and Ed O'Keefe himself that President-elect Trump is considering naming Florida Governor Ron DeSantis as his pick for defense secretary. He would replace embattled Fox News host Pete Hegseth. Hegseth has faced false allegations, I added that in there, by the way, of past sexual and workplace misconduct, which have come to light in recent news reports. Trump and DeSantis today attended a memorial service, which is what I was mentioning, that they just met recently, for their 3 law enforcement officers who died in line of duty last month in Palm Beach, Florida. Now, the Wall Street Journal was the first to report this. There's more info if you want to go to CBS News right there. But let's be honest, we're here for a reason. And that's for the Bob Rat Show, baby. Now, you have these individuals, specifically Senator Ernst and Haggerty from Tennessee. So Ernst is, I think, from Iowa and Haggerty's from Tennessee. Well, they're also being considered in addition to Ron DeSantis. Now, could it still be Pete Hegseth? And then DeSantis is just rumored to be kind of like, he's the second up. Very similar to what we saw with Matt Gaetz as Attorney General, where probably Bondi was a follow-up to Matt Gaetz. And so if Matt Gaetz fell through, he had a big, like, easy shoe-in pick right there. That could be it right now. And Ron DeSantis says, hey, you know what? If you need me, if things don't work out with Pete, as great as he is, I'm more than happy to fill that role if you need me. So maybe that's where this is coming from. Now, is it a for sure thing? No, but I'll tell you what, a lot of people are kind of having some issues with Pete Hegseth. But I love the fact that Senator Halley comes in and says, hey, you know what? Let's just kind of hear the guy out. He's going to be under oath. And he seems to be a guy that, follows the rule of law. Let's just hear the guy out before we sit there and start, being so harsh and stuff. Here we go.
I would just urge my Republican colleagues who are very worried. I know a number of them are expressing public concern. It's fine. But I would just urge them before they make up their minds, let him have his hearing and listen to him under oath. I mean, let's go through the process here and give him a shot to answer this and more. I would just urge my...
There you go. I mean, he said it perfectly. Please don't think that I don't think Pete should be Secretary of Defense. That is not the goal here of just showing you the news. I'm showing you the news because the news is just new information that's coming out that I want to present to all of you, with the caveat of, yeah, it might be bullshit. It might be. And that's why I said, right, with the fellow brother in the chat, Gary, appreciate you, brother. Look, it's still news. It's still something that I want to present to you guys, because the whole purpose of this channel is, to call out the hypocrisy of the media, the Democrat Party and all that stuff, but it's also to actually just tell you what's going on out there and what's going along the rumor mill. Now, does that mean you should walk away from the show going, well, yeah, Ron DeSantis is 100% guaranteed the next, Secretary of Defense? Of course not. And you know what? I don't talk like that because I know my audience isn't stupid. Do you know what I mean? And I don't need to tell you all patriots that, but that's why I don't sit there and have to worry about like, oh, my audience is going to walk away with, saying that Ron DeSantis, well, he's the next pick. And then they're going to go spread all that to their friends. They're going to be like, yeah, it's a possibility that he could be in the lineup. Yeah, it's a possibility Trump's thinking about him. Yeah, it's out there. If something doesn't work out with Pete, yeah, maybe Ron DeSantis isn't a bad pick. I saw a report from this guy on YouTube that said, hey, maybe Ron DeSantis might be up next. May or may not happen, but that's at least was something was out there. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. So I love that Hallie came out and said, look, let's hear the guy under oath. Listen to the man. Listen to what he has to say. And I don't think we do enough of that in today's society, where there's so many allegations out there where it's like, why don't you just listen to the guy that the allegations are about for once? Do you know what I mean? We always sit there and prejudge people. I know it's been going on for quite some time, but look, we all have demons. We all have stuff that we go through. Always try to put yourself in that situation. If somebody sat there and just blasted the airwaves with allegations about you, wouldn't you want an opportunity for people just to hear you out for a moment? Maybe some of the allegations are true, but they're not like as true or as terrible as they're being made out to be. Do you know what I mean? You would hope that somebody would at least listen to you. Folks, with all this AI generation coming out with people's voices and their images and their faces, that has always been a fear of mine. And I think a lot of people that do, influencing or content creation or whatever it is, of somebody coming out and just taking their face and taking their voice and saying that they did something they never did. Well, you would hope that you'd be able to hear from that content creator or that politician or whoever, that celebrity, doesn't matter who it is, and you'd be able to hope to hear them out going like, that wasn't me, that was completely AI. And I bring that up because that stuff is already happening. That stuff is already happening. And with the deep state and all the shenanigans and the shit that they put conservatives through, going after and targeting conservatives with the IRS, targeting them with the Department of Justice, do you really put it out of the realm of possibility that the government could sit there and put some BS stuff out there on the internet about an individual and fabricate a whole AI and a voice from that individual and say they did something when they never did it? I wouldn't put it past our government to do it. Look what they did on January 6th. I hope, Kash, if you're listening to this, Kash Patel is allegedly, hopefully, fingers crossed, the next FBI director. Please release, I want everything. I want everything on January 6th. I know there's more than 40,000 hours, Kash. Oh, I know there's more angles than what we got. I know that there's badges being flashed to Capitol Police inside the building during January 6th that are wearing Trump hats. I'm going to say that again. I know that there's video of agents flashing their badges to police officers while those agents that were flashing their badges were dressed up as rioters. I want it all released. I want it all out there in the open. It was a little bit of a kind of a side tangent, but you understand what I mean. So we also have ABC News here. This is kind of a side transition now. Moving away from Ron DeSantis and Pete Hegseth. They're both great men, both patriots, love them both. Well, ABC News asked the Canadian ambassador to the U.S. if Trump was really joking or if he was serious when he said he would annex Canada if they failed to meet his conditions. This was freaking great. I was so thankful for Trump. I told my wife yesterday, he's such a badass. Now, if you missed it, Trudeau came to Mar-a-Lago really quick because Trump goes, if Canada doesn't get their ass in line, I'm going to put 25% tariffs. I'm going to cripple that country. Right? He didn't say really majority of that, but he is going to give them tariffs. And so, I mean, within 48 hours, I would imagine the phone call came within 24. Hey, do you have time? Daddy, do you have time? He calls Trump daddy. You know Trudeau calls Trump daddy. Come on. Daddy, do you have time for me? Of course I do. Come down, Mar-a-Lago. Right, so he comes down to Mar-a-Lago in like 48 hours. And Trump straight up tells him, if you're going to sit there and, Justin, I'll tell you, if you're going to sit there and rip off United States, if you're going to think about ripping off me, Joe. Sorry, you're not Joe, you're Justin. I don't know what I was doing. Justin, if you're going to rip off the United States, and if it's going to cripple your country, maybe you should become the 51st state, bitch. Okay, I added a little bit of fluff, but that was pretty much it, where he said, look, if you're going to be crippled by these tariffs, if you're going to fail as a country, then maybe you should sit there and be the 51st state of the United States, and that you could be the governor. That's what he said. Realistically, that's what he said. But you got to add a little bit of flavor, right? You know how Trump is. You know, Trump kind of rambles a little bit, and if he does that in public, you know he does that behind the scenes. It's so badass. You know, Joe never talked to anybody like that. It was kind of like when Trump met that like, well, I don't know if it was a Taliban leader or the terrorist leader or whoever the hell it was, and Trump was like, if if a single American soldier is touched, if I hear a whisper of a bullet, I'm gonna sit there. I know where you live, you SOB. I'll kill you. I will drop the mother of all bombs on you. Right? And he takes out a photo of the dude's house. Right? And he walks away. He leaves it at that. He lets it marinate. He lets the guy shit his pants for a bit. You know what I mean? Sit in his own doo-doo, kind of like he does with Joey. And, lets it kind of, yeah, you figure it out. You want to F around and find out? Hey, we got a house. Here's a picture of your house, man. It will turn into a parking lot. So, well, I guess I got to show you the clip, right? I guess I got to show you the actual news here. So here's the media. Well, do you think he was really joking?
I'd love your response here to some reporting out of Fox News that Trump allegedly told Trudeau if Canada can't handle the impact of new tariffs, it should become an American state. There were some participants in the meeting said, Trump was clearly joking. Was that your understanding of that comment?
Yeah. Yeah, I do think it's important to emphasize that this was a really social dinner. I mean, there was a lot of joking, storytelling. There was a lot of discussion around, the prime minister was asking the president about the campaign and the election, asking about Mar-a-Lago. People were teasing each other. They talked business. We talked serious matters, obviously, as well. But it was a 3-hour dinner. And there was the prime minister and the president, I'll be honest, they know each other well. And they.
I still love this photo. I look how happy he is. I said this yesterday. This is such a fake smile. He's crapping his pants. Oh, shit. It's kind of like when you're that guy and you just got kind of put into the group of the mob. And it's a terrible analogy for Trump. I'm not saying Trump's the mob, but I think you'll get it. He's the boss, right? He's daddy. He's daddy. And Trudeau comes and he has to kiss the ring. How do you like your father? You're going to need, Justin, you're going to need some protection. Hey, Tony, give this guy some protection over here. If you're going to sit there and you're going to rip me off, Justin, I'll take you at the kneecaps. Kiss the ring, Justin.
Enjoy each other's company. So that was the tone and tenor of it. And I have to tell you, I see it as a good thing. I see it as a good thing that there's sort of this more teasing relationship, let's just say, than something more serious. I think in Canada, we often think of ourselves as sort of like Americans' cousins, and it felt a little bit like family ribbing from my point of view.
Look, I could see some of that being truthful in the sense of like, the Canadians are like our cousin. Look, they're the north of us. They're our allies. If we had to go to war, we'd hopefully be able to rely on them. Like, I think there's truth to that. And I do like that picture of, hey, we're like a family. They're a distant cousin. We can invite them and joke around. I actually do like that language. And if you read my book, Trojan Horse, I use very similar language describing Republicans and Democrats in our current political climate, where we are a family at the end of the day. We're basically brothers and sisters. When somebody picks on your brother or your sister, but you and your sister don't get along, like you guys are just beating the crap out of each other all the time, or you're screaming at each other, you're annoying each other all the time. Like you hate each other. You love each other, but you hate each other. Well, when somebody sits there and messes around with your family member, your brother or sister, well, all of a sudden you and your sister get along really damn well, and now you're starting to go after that enemy. That's how I describe American politics. Is right now we don't have a common enemy. We don't have a common person to kind of tunnel vision on and band together and go after. If you want to see the most recent memory of us having a common enemy would have been something around 9/11, where Republicans and Democrats, well, we just united as Americans. We said, now you're going to find out. You thought we didn't like each other. Well, we do in actual terms, but now you just messed with the bull and you're about to get the horns. I like the way she described Trudeau. I would love to get along with the guy, at least as Americans, but as much as Trump was joking, all jokes have a bit of truth to them. And Trump's truth was, I will cripple you, Justin. I will take you at the knees. Kiss daddy's ring. Kiss the eagle, Justin. And he moves it, as Justin's trying to kiss it. He's like moving his finger. Come on, Justin, you can do it. I'm so sorry. I don't know where this comes from. I don't know what happened to me as a kid. Okay? Can we stop with the judgment? That's why you guys... What other host gives you random entertainment like this? This is why you come. This is why you come here. Not for free stuff, not like the illegals. You come for the entertainment. Well, not everybody was happy with Joey. And there's basically kind of like a civil war going on with the Democrat Party, the media. They don't know what to do. We have here, sorry, I was reading somebody's chat. We have here, Chuck Todd rips the Bidens. They put the entire Democrat Party in the position it is now. Well, there's truth to that, but again, with every truth coming along with the legacy media, there's also some lying to it. So NBC News chief, can you believe that? Chuck Todd tore into President Joe Biden and First Lady Jill Biden after the president issued a pardon on Sunday, which we covered at length here. In a discussion with journalists, Todd said he knew 100% the pardon was going to happen and insisted President Biden needs therapy because he has not processed the death of his older son. Well, there's truth to that. From Delaware Attorney General Beau Biden, who passed away from brain cancer, which is just a terrible thing. Joe still thinks that Beau Biden died in Iraq, which is also a terrible thing. The fact that you can't even rationalize when your son passed away and how he passed away. That's how far Joe is. I don't want to hear jack crap from Chuck Todd, because if he's going to talk about this whole spiel, why did you sit there and push for Joe Biden to be president of the United States in 2020? We all saw the cognitive decline, Chuck. We all saw it bigly. And quite frankly, so did you, Chuck, because it just so happens when you saw Donald Trump just smack the shit out of Joey during the debates, all of a sudden you go, something's wrong with Joe. Joe's drooling. Joey's stumbling through his words. Joe's losing his train of thought. Joe doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. He doesn't know what he's saying right now. All of that appeared on camera. And we've been saying it for years, Chuck. And all of a sudden, the legacy media and the outlet wanted to talk about it. Why? Because you wanted to drop the candidate because he sucked and you knew you were about to get your ass kicked. Turns out you got your ass kicked no matter what, because the Democrat Party sucks. And you, Chuck, were a part of that. You were a part of spreading the false narrative. You were spreading all that crap for years. I don't want to hear one bleep. So here's the clip. I guess we do have to hear from him.
Transcript, all the testimony, because that's what all that was made public. And there is, you want to read, you want to get angry, just as somebody in just all these mixed emotions. You read the Hallie Biden transcript, and that's Beau's widow.
Yes.
And essentially he turned her into a crack addict. And this was all happening in 2017, 2018. And Joe and Jill Biden were so concerned about their family that they decided to run for president.
Yep.
So when you talk about the word selfish, it's almost like the word doesn't, their decision to run for president put the entire Democratic Party and the United States of America in the position that it's in now.
Isn't that astonishing? That he's going to say all that stuff. Oh, well, his kids were crackheads. They had all this going on. He turned his wife into a crack addict too. And it was selfish of him to run. You assholes asked him to run. What do you, he said for years, I'm not going to do it. I don't want to do it. Right? Please don't make me. I'm barely alive. Please. Right. And so Joe, thinking he's a sacrifice to the Democrat gods, started running for president. He said, oh, Beau wanted this. Beau said it. He told me. You know, for all I know, Beau appeared to Joe in spirit form and had a full-blown conversation. Now, that might seem like it's satire and me being an a-hole. I'm not. There's an ounce of me actually thinking that took place. The reason why I say that is because Joe has had, I swear it seems like I'm making this shit up, Joe has conversed and seen dead people, you guys. This isn't part of spooky adventures, supernatural Saturdays thing we do sometimes. No. Joe has seen former leaders of countries that have been dead for 40 years at like a dinner table and has talked to them and seen them. Joe has taken photos with people. I've always said, this used to be my opener. Joe has taken photos with people at events that were never there in the first place. He's like, I took a photo with this one girl. It's like, but sir, she's not here. She's actually in a whole nother state. And sir, we're not even so sure if you ever met her. Yeah, I took a photo with her right now. Like, no, Mr. President, no. Mr. President, you're in bed. Your CPAP's on. We can barely understand you. And then if you recall, the dude at one point at one point was literally looking for dead people in the crowd. He's like, where is she? And everybody was just like flabbergasted. You could feel the energy, even on video, of the crowd just be like, what the fuck? What the fuck? She's dead. Joe, she's dead. So that is possible. It is possible. So anyways, they're going to complain that, oh, well, how could he run? How could you do this to us? You guys wanted him. You guys said he was the most popular president in American history. The dude had more votes than Barack Obama, had more votes than any president in American history. Don't tell me this Chuck all of a sudden, oh, he sat there, threw the Democrat Party under the bus. He sat there, look what he did to our country. We said it was going to happen. We said it. And it's always like that, isn't it? I feel like we're always the adults in the political conversation. We said something was going to happen way before it actually does. And then it actually does happen. And we have to sit there and console, right? And the Democrats have to go to therapy and they have Trump derangement syndrome and they have to sit there and reach their outlets. They have to bring in their therapy cats on the fucking planes and all this other stuff, right? Because they didn't want to listen. It's like that teenager, right? That thinks they know better. And the adults are sitting there telling the teenager, hey, you know what? This is what's going to happen. Maybe you should listen because you're about to have some serious consequences. And they don't listen. And then you have to sit there and listen to them cry and boohoo when they come home. Oh, I should have listened. I didn't listen to you, Dad. I'm so sorry. That's what we have to deal with. A really long random rant, but I think, you know, the entertainment style was there, I suppose. Well, moving into some other news. Speaking of Joey, speaking of what he's done to this country, and well, speaking of what he just did on Sunday, well, you also have a federal judge accuses President Biden of attempting to rewrite history and Hunter Biden pardon. I don't think this is rewriting history. I think a portion of this is legitimately writing history. Why do I say that? You guys, I was trying to look back, and I was kind of hearing this from the folks at the Daily Wire too. I don't know if this type of pardon has ever happened. Now, I'm leaving that like I don't know part out there in the ether because I could obviously be wrong. I'm not 100% sure here. But looking back, I don't know of anybody that's been pardoned to this level where it's like an entire decade and it doesn't matter what you did for an entire decade. You're just on a federal level. You're good. You're just absolutely good. Like it didn't matter what you did. He could have legitimately killed somebody. He could have been a serial killer for a decade. I'm not saying he was, but you understand what I'm getting at in terms of describing this. It was wild. So that's writing history. I don't know. The only times I've seen a pardon on a super big level was for a specific crime. And we talked about this. I said, look, it would have made sense if he went after and pardoned his tax evasion or the filing of the firearm form when he was a crack addict or did drugs or whatever. You know, I can understand those pardons, right? And honestly, I really wouldn't have that big of a deal, in my opinion. The big deal for me was that the pardon started in January 1st, 2014 and went on to like present day. Well, we all know what took place in 2014. That dude right here on your screen was part of Burisma. And a lot of corruption was allegedly taking place. So the federal judge overseeing Hunter's tax case issued a sharp rebuke on President Biden's claim that his son was unfairly treated, as well as the president's delivery method following the president's last-minute pardon. And it was last minute. Even Karine Jean-Pierre, as much as I don't want to believe her, I do believe that one, that Joe just woke up Sunday morning and goes, I'm awake. I'm going to pardon my son. And he unstraps a CPAP machine and goes, ah! And then tells us, hey, I'm going to pardon Hunter for everything, for a decade. It's like, sir, how crazy do you want this to be? I want everything. Sure, do you mean literally everything? Like, are you talking, like, are we going back to 2014? I want everything. I want just anything this kid probably did. The judge, who is based in Central District of California, of course, and was nominated by President-elect Trump, accused President Biden in a scathing 5-page order of rewriting history with the pardon, suggested that the breadth of the pardon granted his son is unconstitutional. Now, I don't know that aspect of it, and it very well could be. I don't think it is, though, but I'm not a constitutional lawyer. In the same way that, what's that lady's name that got nominated to the Supreme Court? Ketanji Brown Jackson, when she was asked what a woman is, and she said, I'm not a biologist. You know what? I'm so glad we're going back to normal, but I'm also going to miss the craziness of the Democrat Party and the progressive left just a little bit for the content purposes, not to deal with them in my life. It's just annoying. The Constitution provides the president with broad authority to grant reprieves and pardons for offenses against the United States. Nowhere does the Constitution give the president the authority to rewrite history. So rather than providing a true and correct copy of the pardon with the notice, Mr. Biden provided a hyperlink. Shit. To a White House press release presenting a statement by the president regarding the pardon and the purported text of the pardon. Holy crap. I didn't know that. This is so holy. I don't know what it is with this president. I'm laughing because this is such a callback to when the dude dropped out of the race and he sat there and just uploaded a Word document to his Twitter page. Like no letterhead of the White House, a signature that didn't even look like his. And people thought, like, did somebody just hack into Joe Biden's Twitter account or his X account and just upload a document that said that he was dropping out of the race? I had a conspiracy theory that said, I don't think that he actually ever dropped out. I think that he went to bed. He was in a comatose state because his brain's so far gone. He was sleeping, comatose, sleeping, same thing. And somebody goes, okay, what we're going to do is we're just going to fabricate this whole effing letter. Joe's gone. He's on vacation. Everybody's pissed about that already. He's not going to know what happened. He doesn't know what's going on anyways. We'll upload it to his own X account and then we'll call him and say, hey, buddy, you just dropped out. What? I didn't drop out. What? Like, sorry, sir, we have your signature and we have the paper here. Yeah, you dropped out, Joe. You wrote it yourself. What the F? I did no such thing. Possible. 100% possible. You're dealing with Hillary Clinton, right? Barack Obama. You're dealing with those psychos. He continued reacting to the president's statement on his son's tax page. The president asserts that Mr. Biden was treated differently from others. Well, he was. Who were late paying their taxes because of serious addictions. I love that. If you recall, they said that you're supposed to be taking people that are addicted to some sort of thing out there differently and treat them differently because they're addicted to said something. So if they go murder somebody or rape somebody or do whatever it may be, like what Hunter did, well, they should be treated differently because they're addicts. And that addict or that addiction led them to the very thing that they did. And so you're supposed to treat them differently. And it's like that in all American society, by the way. He's not really being treated that much different. You see that in the education system. You got to treat everybody different. Oh, this kid's going through something here. This kid's stressed. This kid's doing this or that. Treat him different. Oh, let him do this or that. And folks, it's like that for everybody nowadays. We're so weak as a country. We are so weak as a nation right now. It's remarkable. It really is. And it's been going on for like over a decade. Everything. You're seeing a prime example of this. It's just souped up at a federal level now. According to the president, no responsible person who looks at the facts of Mr. Biden's cases can reach any other conclusion that Mr. Biden was singled out only because he is the president's son. But two federal judges expressly rejected Biden's arguments that the government prosecuted Mr. Biden because of his familiar relations to the president. And the president's own attorney general and the Department of Justice personally oversaw the investigation leading to charges. Meaning there's a bunch of doo-doo going on there. It smells like doo-doo. It smells like Joey's diaper. It smells like you walked into Joey's bedroom. So is it unconstitutional? I don't know. Could it be taken up to the Supreme Court? Maybe. But there's more news on this, and I wanted to break this down because I thought it was interesting. It's going to be really quick, and I know you're probably tired of hearing about Hunter Biden this, Hunter Biden that, but it is important to kind of know what the hell's going on because I hate to say it's unprecedented, but it kind of is. If you could find somebody that's had this type of blanket statement of if they've done anything for a decade, well, they're pardoned, they're good. Folks, I'll even give you this. There's actually a time frame from when this was posted there between when Hunter Biden probably knew about him being pardoned for everything for a decade and to when it was actually released from his father. There is a time frame there that in theory, if Hunter knew about it, he had a few hours to do anything he wanted illegally, anything for a few hours. I bring that up, you guys. They went to Nantucket and for another family vacation. Yes, they went on another damn vacation on your dime, by the way. What are the odds? And I'm just going to throw something out there. They have all these shell companies. This money's freaking everywhere. What are the odds that they sat there and did some foozery with their financials or moving money around that, however they did it illegally, in that time frame of those few hours? I mean, hell, even the time frame for that decade, right? We know there's some money being moved and laundered and all that stuff, allegedly. What is the odds that he actually did some crazy shit in those like few hours to get the money moved around and everything like that. That's technically illegal, but because he's pardoned, everything's good. And Joe knew what he was doing to sit there and pardon him a few hours later to make sure he got all his, ducks in a row, cross the T's, dot the I's. Hey, we're good, Father, we're good. What are the odds? Well, that kind of goes into a little bit what I'm about to cover here, because Hunter Biden, his pardon kind of raises new questions amid this 5th Amendment loophole. So 5th Amendment right, you could sit there and, use your 5th Amendment right. You don't have to talk and all these other things. Well, President Biden's pardon of his son kind of moves into some more of a state level stuff. And what I mean by that is if the younger Biden can move to assert his 5th Amendment privileges that protect against his self-incrimination, how the broad immunity granted to Hunter could be twisted against him. Well, what's happening here is that you still have judges or prosecutors going after Hunter. And because he's been pardoned, he can't he could plead the 5th Amendment, but they could basically, I don't want to say force him, but they can compel him. That's a better word. Compel him to sit there and testify against who? Other Biden family members. So this could get really interesting here, which is why yesterday's episode, I talked about how I think there's going to be another pardon. And if Joey was smart, he would pardon James. And if, I don't know if it's illegal to pardon yourself, and that was a speculation about Donald Trump pardoning himself. We don't know. So we can get some really crazy stuff. I mean, we already are. The fact that this is happening is crazy. Isn't it reported that it is rumored that Hunter sent pop in a veiled threat of a tall all book? I don't know. While Hunter Biden is indeed shielded against prosecution for any federal offenses, correct, he is committed or may have committed between these times, those around him or not, which means that Hunter could theoretically be called on to testify in a potential case against family members or others in an inner circle. Again, I would imagine this was a conversation, and I think if Donald Trump really wanted to go after Joe Biden and James Biden, well, they're still complicit in the Biden family corruption ring, and this could really end up hurting them. So in the cases, Hunter Biden's party could actually limit his ability to assert the 5th Amendment privileges since he's no longer at risk, there you go, of facing criminal charges. But here's the thing. I can't remember the case. There was a famous case where this happened, that somebody was pleading the 5th, but they were being compelled to testify because they couldn't have incriminated themselves because they were already given immunity. I forget, it might have been the Hillary Clinton, bleach bit the server, that whole thing. I think people were given immunity and they weren't willing to testify and they were pleading the 5th, but they're being compelled to talk because, again, you can't incriminate yourself. You have immunity. You're good. So I'm curious to see how they're actually going to get this guy to compel. And by the way, who the hell knows if he really is going to tell the truth, right? You think this guy's a hardcore believer in God? The guy's snorting cocaine off a prostitute's ass? Now, he could be, and we're just all sinners, right? So I don't want to diminish that whole aspect. It very well could be, repenting and just struggling. So I'll give him that. But it makes me wonder if he'd actually tell the truth and oust his own family members. Still, the question of 5th Amendment protections does have the outsized importance as Republicans prepare to regain the majority in both chambers of Congress. So we'll see what happens with that. I wanted to make sure that I bring you up to date on the 5th Amendment. It is something that's interesting and kind of connects to yesterday with Joe Biden. I would be let me take a swig here. There is a conversation to be said. Say you're a father, some of you are, and you sat there as the father and told your son to go do certain things, knowing that those things that you just told your son to do were illegal. And then later on, when all of it comes out and all this stuff happens years later, and people are trying to look under the hood, and your son goes, well, Dad, you have the power to set me free. You have the power to do all these things. I did them because I love you. I did them because you told me to do them. Yeah, I'm a crack addict. Yeah, my life's in shambles, and it was a good reason to have a criminal like myself do all these things. But I did them because I love you, Dad. And I think, you should pardon me because of all the stuff that you made me do and had me do. I think as a conscience, right, you would feel a little bit guilty because you sent your son to do those things. And in this same way, there's a possibility where Joe sent Hunter to do some corrupted stuff and make some moves and he was complicit in it, and he felt guilty, and that's why he pardoned his son, because he couldn't live with himself. I can't do it. I gotta pardon him. On the fact that I heard rumors was that Jill, there was an article that I read a day or two ago, that Jill, during the vacation, had a lot to say to Joe. And at some point, you know, we've all been, well, not necessarily me, but we've all been in those relationships in the past, or you're married to somebody that's just nagging you all the time. And that can come from a husband. Mostly it's, ladies, I hate to tell you, sorry. It's mostly from the wives. Just nagging the hell out of the guy. You know, he's sitting there trying to have his damn cup of coffee, just, you know, he's sitting there labor, right? He's all tired after work. Like, fuck, I just need peace. I just need peace. And do this, do that. Blah, blah. Can you imagine being Joe, right? You're old as shit. Your brain's not even working correctly. You're trying to get a coherent thought through your mind. And you've been working all day, in your opinion, you know, 3 hours a day. And just Jill's, and just like, shut the fuck up. You know, and he's like, all right, I'm going to pardon him. Sweet Jesus, lady, shut the hell up. That's probably what happened too. There's a lot of variables of what could have happened. You know, he's just sitting there trying to breathe, stay alive with this oxygen tank that we don't know about. Right? She's a fucking up. Look what you did to my son, you son of a bitch. It's like, shut her up. Get her out of here. I'll pardon him. Leave me alone. You all know it's a possibility. Don't you play like it's not a possibility. You know it is. Eric Birch with the $5. Again, every day. I love you, Eric. Thank you so much with the $5. Good morning, Patriot family. Good morning to you, sir. Good morning to you. Hopefully I didn't forget anybody else here. I think we're on top of all the donations, which is greatly appreciated. We got one from Pat earlier, and we got one from Eric Birch. Greatly appreciated. If you guys are enjoying this, again, hit that like button. Always greatly appreciated. Dr. Jill in his ear, Biden actually is saying just pretending to be an imbecile to ignore her. Now, look, Krager, I'm going to say something. We said this in the past. I've always said and rumored, and we're going to get to our next news bit here about immigration, so hang tight. I've always said that is an actual possibility that Joe Biden knows that he is so corrupt and they've done so much shady stuff that if he acted like an imbecile, if he acted like his brain wasn't working correctly all the time, and just behind the scenes, he's totally freaking normal. Like the decline is sharp, right? This guy's, if you look at him when he was vice president compared to now, the dude is just boom. There is a possibility that he's doing that because if he got called on a witness stand, as you saw in the Robert Hur report, he can't testify. I don't recall. I don't remember. I do, dude. I need to take off the stand, right? All this stuff. You know, I don't know if you guys ever saw, I don't know if it was the old Scream movie. And there was this guy called Dewey. And Scream, I want to show you. I don't know if y'all remember this guy. Y'all remember this guy, Dewey from Scream? We're all kind of an older crowd. Kind of hit us. You know how he played that he was mentally off? And then it turns out, spoiler alert, that he was actually the killer. But he's like, oh, the officer duty, sir. But he wasn't mentally challenged. He was a totally normal dude. That could be Joe. This could be Joe right here. Hell of a freaking connection. You're welcome. Am I wrong? Is it a possibility? Absolutely. Officer Joe Biden ready for duty. I don't remember if it was Scary Movie. What movie was that? No, it was Scream. Yeah, it was a legit thing. Check it out. Oh, yeah, the chin. Yeah, his chin does look off. You're right. Yeah. Oh, was it Doofy? What am I saying? Duty? Yeah, the nerdy guy. Yeah, there you go. Everyone got it. Everyone knows what's going on. Yeah, there you go. Okay. That's like we get a lot. I always say this. We have the best crew, man. I don't have a crew working with me. I mean, you're the crew. Like we're the gang, right? We're the posse. We should get matching leather vests like a freaking biker gang. You know what I mean? Grow mullets. Ladies, you can get one too. Just. All right. Anyways, enough of that. Enough of the shenanigans. Let's get into this. Let's get serious. Appeals court rules U.S. can deport illegal immigrants despite local objections and win for incoming Trump admin. Huge win. Awesome win. Yeah, this is actually really great news for us, by the way, and the Trump team. So U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement can continue using a Seattle airport for chartered deportation flights in a win for incoming President-elect Trump's administration, a federal appeals court ruled. This is so awesome. I say it's awesome not only because like this is an airport that we need to utilize, but Seattle is extremely left. And so just think about all of them crying as they see an airplane fly over them. Oh, God, probably criminals in there. How could they deport them? Oh, no. Right? Like that one lady that we always see, that one clip from 2016. Donald Trump is elected the next president of the United States. No! Ah! Right? That lady screaming in the skies. That's how they're gonna be looking at the airplanes, just the hundreds of planes of illegal immigrants flying out of Seattle because of the sanctuary state. How could they do this, the bigots? As like 10 of them in that plane just got done raping a bunch of people, murdering them. They're still crying about it. Oh, how could they? The Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals ruling rejected a 2019 local executive order that sought to counter then President Trump's immigration policies, saying that King County, Washington violated its contract by prohibiting deportations at King County International Airport, which is also known as Boeing Field. The court ruled that the order was unlawful because it discriminated against ICE and targeted federal operations. This is where we're at. This is where we're at. And what I mean by that is discriminated. How much has the left weaponized this word in the justice system, in the courts, and now we used it against them. Now we sat there and sat there and used it against them to sit there and do the work that needs to get done. And that's Trump's work. That's why we voted him in. That's why we love the fact that Tom Homan's right there and he's ready to work, baby. January 20th, everybody's showing up to work. It's not remote. They're showing up to the office and getting stuff done for the American people, for you and I. Big win for us. Love this. I got goosebumps talking about it. You're talking about a fiscal conservative here. This is something I wanted to touch on actually a while ago. They're complaining, and I mean the legacy media and the Democrat Party, it's going to cost $200 billion to deport all these people. How could you do it? It's so bad. We don't have the money. Well, how about the fact that we're spending like $1 trillion all said and done? People lowball this number. I think it is upwards of $1 trillion that we spent on illegal immigration under the Biden administration. Because I think it's upwards of about $250 billion a year. You're talking about a fiscal conservative. You're talking about somebody in their own personal life follows Dave Ramsey to a T. I don't use a credit card. I save up for things. I work multiple jobs so that I can buy the things that I need to get, or I save up for years. Doesn't matter what it is. You're talking about cheap ass right here. I wear the same stuff all the time. I've had the same hat for years that I wear on the show that's freaking discolored. I don't need to go into that. You guys know I'm a cheap ass. You guys know I'm a cheapskate. Simple, non-materialistic guy. What I'm saying is on an individual level, I follow that. On a federal level, state level, local level, doesn't matter what it is, I want them to follow that too. I want them to be cheap asses. In terms of this, I don't care one bit how much money it costs. I don't care. And I'm saying it here for everybody to hear it. I don't care if it's $500 billion. You want to know something? I don't give a shit if it's $1 trillion. And I'm a fiscal conservative. I don't like blowing out budgets. The reason why I say that is because it's money it's going to pay for itself, basically. I hate to say it because it's not like we're going to make $1 trillion. But in the long run, we would spend vastly more money on this because Democrats are idiots and don't know how to sit there and control a budget. Now, Trump, quite frankly, let me down in 2016. Could somebody send a man a new hat? Don't you do that. You guys, I'm not, damn it. See, I got to be careful because I say things. I'm not asking for that. Devil, careful because people are going to start sending me shit. I'm not complaining. I love you guys to death. You know, you're going to get me on a whole other tangent. Stop it. That's why I can't read the chat all the time. Where was I? I don't care if it's $1 trillion for the flights. The reason why is because we're already spending a ton of money. We're going to be saving money in the long term and spending in the short term. I think that all makes sense. I think it all makes sense. So I don't care. I don't care if it's $1 billion. And that says a lot. There's very few things that I'm like, yeah, we need to spend money on. This is one of them. People are dying. People are being raped. There's terrorists in the country. It could lead to more deaths. It could lead to intelligence problems, which we've already seen. So speaking of immigration, this is happening in a different country, but it's immigration. Well, happening in a different country, connected to the United States, specifically my state. You have this right here. Chinese illegal immigrant arrested for allegedly shipping weapons from California to North Korea. Now, folks, California is a sanctuary state. They allow people to dwell here, to live here, and not be bothered. And so now they're sending weapons to North Korea. Folks, where did North Korea just recently send troops to? Russia. And where were they trained in? Russia. And where are they going? Ukraine. Lovely. Please. According to an affidavit filed last week, Ontario, California obtained firearms, ammunition, and military equipment to ship to America's enemy, which is currently under sanctions. This individual, Wen, allegedly hid the weapons and military equipment in shipping containers that shipped out from Long Beach. Folks, Long Beach is not too far from my home. I went to Long Beach State for college, to Hong Kong, and then to North Korea. I know this port all too well. It's one of the biggest ports. It is the biggest port on the West Coast, by the way. I think it's like the third largest port, either in the world or the United States. It's massive. A federal complaint filed in the Central District of California said that Wen, along with other co-conspirators, successfully exported at least 2 shipments of firearms and ammunition to North Korea. Now, if you didn't have illegal immigrants here doing anything, well, you wouldn't have this problem. But illegal immigrants don't commit crimes in the same proportion as Americans do. The difference is that crime should never committed in the first place because they should have never been here in the first place. Where the Americans at least have a right to be here, and then they have the freedom to do what they want up to a certain limit. And once you cross that, it's called illegal. And you go to where? You go to jail, you get fined, all these things. Shouldn't do it. Well, somebody's finally waking up to this whole illegal immigration. Somebody's finally waking up to the fact that this stuff's crippling them. And you know what? They've had enough. And I got to give this guy kudos to what he said. And who is this? Mayor Eric Adams. I've ripped this guy a new one for years. For years. So the fact I'm saying something nice about him is a big deal. And this guy's fed up. And he should have been fed up a long time ago because this whole thing crippled his state. This dude was asking residents in New York City to sit there and house illegal immigrants because they didn't have space for them. This is the dude that sat there and created a shelter for the illegal immigrants in New York City that gave them, I'm not joking, this video got taken down off YouTube that I'm about to describe. There's video of it, which is why. They got plasma TVs, they got Xboxes, meaning like game consoles, cell phone services, couches, rugs, coffee tables, breakfast, lunch, dinner, all catered to their culture, by the way. Revolving menu, changed out, laundry services, recreation. I kid you not, I was looking for freaking jacuzzis when I was looking at the camera. They were giving lawyer services, all of which you're paying for. New York City specifically was paying for that. And you know what? It was so bad that they were being so crippled that he declared basically a state of emergency and was begging Joe Biden for billions of dollars to sit there and subsidize this massive illegal immigration effort. And now he's been hit harder than ever. And so what does he do? He comes out and he sits there and complains. He said he's had enough. And I thought I had the clip here. And clearly your boy is not ready for it. So let's see if we can, let's go to my homepage. Boop, boop. Well, I might as well plug this. We have a Twitter page. Follow us. Hey, that's me. Okay. I thought I posted it. I guess not. So we're going back then. Okay, so New York City Mayor Eric Adams strongly defended 26-year-old U.S. Marine Daniel Penny, who's been charged in the death of Neely. So Penny restrained Neely with a troubled man with a lengthy criminal record, blah, blah, blah. We're now on the subway where we're hearing someone talking about hurting people, killing people, Adams said. Neely alleged threatening behavior. You have someone, Penny, on that subway who was responding, do what we should have done as a city. Some passengers were afraid. So basically, you guys saw this guy, I think he was an old Marine, put a guy in a stranglehold. I believe he killed him. And, well, he just had his court case. I believe he was set free, if I have that correct. So Adams has faced criticism from the far left when he announced a plan to hospitalize some severely mentally ill people involuntarily, noting the city's Moral Obligation Act, which we used to do as a society. We didn't let these people just roam free all around the city, especially illegal immigrants. And when they're mentally unstable, throwing hot diarrhea at people. Now, some people just laughed at that. but that actually happened in Orange County where I'm at, where homeless people were crapping into coffee cans, hot diarrhea, and throwing it on pedestrians. That happened. There's also them attacking people on the streets. That's why I don't go up to LA anymore. I talk about this all the time. I don't let my wife go out to certain areas in California because it's not safe. Homeless people attack the shit out of you. They'll fuck you up, man. It doesn't matter who you are. They'll sit there and let you walk by them, and they'll come up and just punch you in the back of the head and knock you out. You know, you hit your head wrong, you're mentally unstable like Joe for the rest of your life. So he sat there and was talking about, hey, we basically need to get this whole thing under control. Everything. This is gone off the reservation. I want to show you the clip really quick if I can find it. He's saying, hey, this is what's going on is not right. It's wrong. Here it is. I got it.
Those who are here committing crimes, robberies, shooting at police officers, raping innocent people, have been a harm to our country. I want to sit down and hear the plan on how we're going to address them. Those are the people I am talking about, and I would love to sit down with the Board of Czar and hear his thoughts on how we're going to address those who are harming our citizens.
You're open to that?
Open to
hearing what their plan is to deport some of these folks, and you think the city, in some circumstances, should cooperate with ICE.
Let me. You know what's interesting? And I was talking to the team the other day. I want you to all go back and Google Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama. Google what they said about those who commit crimes in our city and what they said in our country. They said those who commit crimes need to get out right away. That was their position. So this is not a new position, you know, because in the state of in the era of cancel culture, no one is afraid to be honest about the truth. Well, cancel me, because I'm going to protect the people of this city. And if you come into this country, in this city, and
I don't know what it is. I'll let him finish.
think you're going to harm innocent New Yorkers and innocent migrants and asylum seekers, this is not the mayor you want to be in the city under.
Now, Trump clearly, when he was elected, made some men grow testicles the size of elephants. And Mayor Eric Adams decided to sit there and take the duct tape off his gooch and allow his balls to drop, because clearly now he actually gets it. And now all of a sudden he wants to be a man. Dude sounds like a Republican, by the way. Sounds like a Republican, conservative. Yeah, you know what? If you want to sit there and commit crimes, you get the hell out. I'm not the mayor for you. Cancel me. I don't give a shit, bitches. That's basically what he said. Like, motherfucker, I don't give a shit. These people are killing everybody. I don't give a damn. Cancel me, motherfucker. So I wanted to highlight that because I thought that was great. He's had enough. We've all had enough. We need to protect American citizens. He's put in place to sit there and govern and run, or should I say, he's a mayor, so yeah, govern and run, same thing. And, do the things that need to be done. Protect people, Republicans and Democrats, independent. Protect Americans for the love of God. I'm tired of everybody else being taken care of first before us. And finally, Trump gets elected. And, I think because he knows, Eric Adams, that, look, Donald Trump's going to let him do his thing as long as it's sitting there with the agenda of the American people being put first, then he can actually do the things he wants to do. And, he might feel liberated. I'm going a little bit longer here, but he might feel liberated. Like, can you imagine the breath of fresh air this guy probably has? You know what I mean? That going like, oh God, finally I can actually speak my mind without the worry of being canceled. And if I do, well, you know what? I actually have a bunch of people behind me. Republicans are going to sit there and don't want me canceled. Like, I'm doing what they wanted to do. It's the right thing to do. Hillary Clinton talked about it. Barack Obama talked about it. They just didn't do it. And he wants to. So kudos to him. Good for him. Good for him. Well, also kudos to all of you that hung out with me in the chat each and every morning. It's always the same people. It's always cool hanging out with you. It's nice to know you guys that I get to wake up and I kind of already know who's going to be there. I don't take it for granted. It's just nice to know, like, when you go to like a family party or something, you're kind of hoping like certain people are there. You're like, okay, cool. I can hang out with them. I get to talk with them and get excited. The weird thing is I get excited like that every single morning, that I know that there's certain people in the chat, and by certain people, it's all of you, right? There's over 100 people across platforms here, hundreds. But I know your names. And so it's nice to go through as I'm talking and I see you there. And that's cool going, oh, that's cool that they showed up today. That's awesome. That's I get to hang out with them. That's cool. So I appreciate that. I know there's a lot of you in here, but I feel like I'm hanging out with all of you individually. Always appreciated. If you enjoyed what you saw, hit that follow button. It's free. That subscribe button, you don't have to pay a dime. We do have a membership if you want to join. Somebody was asking over at Rumble, I think it was Kate is her name. There is a donation tab on baldbrad.com if you want to donate. So there was a comment that was left yesterday. How do I donate? It's not working on Rumble. Well, there is a donation tab on my website, baldbrad.com. You could do a custom amount. You could do a monthly amount, whatever you want. Don't feel like you have to, but that is there for you. Also, check out our book, Trojan Horse, How the Left is Destroying America. Links are in the description, everything. It is the holiday season. It is a great Christmas gift. And with that being said, folks, thank you so much. We'll be back here tomorrow, 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time for another episode of the Bald Brad Show. Take care, Patriots.